pure gold right here. I'm gonna get this anywhere else.
Hold on. They lose one blowout game, and already you're resorting to the paper bag.
It's all about the clicks. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast presented by the World of Football. I'm your host, Kyle Sutherland, and I am joined by my co-host and brother-in-law, Adam Snow. As you can tell, I felt like I watched the Lions of the old days, and I just had to get this out just in case. But yeah, Adam, how are you feeling after that massive loss?
All right, look, I know the show's called Just Lying Around, and I know that the Lions did nothing but just lie around all game apparently. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to the paper bag on the head. Look, it was a brutal loss, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about this Ravens team and how, look, they deserve to win this game. We'll talk about what Detroit didn't do, and I mean, it's one of those stinker games, and I don't know what more we can add. So I'll let you take it away.
Yep, yeah. As you can tell, I am not pleased, and I don't know about you, but I shut this off at halftime, vacuumed the house a little bit, came back, watched the rest of the game, sludged through it because I knew the Lions weren't going to come back to this massive loss from the Raiders. But
Ravens.
You're Ravens.
Are you getting a week ahead of us? Let's not. No, come on. Don't even bring the Raiders into this yet. We're there. Come on now.
But yeah, on today's show, we're going to go over the Lions' Week 7 loss against the Baltimore Ravens, and then look ahead to hopefully a win against the Las Vegas Raiders. They play on Monday. We will be there. So yeah, hoping for a win. But first, we want to thank you for checking out our podcast, whether that's on YouTube channel or your podcast platform of choice. You can find the World of Football and its many offerings on multiple social platforms. Just check down in the description. And you can also use our timestamps to skip to certain points if you'd like, which is also located down in the description. So on to this week's show. We had the Lions 6 and the Ravens 38. And you can probably tell the Lions scored 6 points in the fourth quarter. Ravens shut them out for the first 3. So like previous weeks, we've talked about the third quarter slump. Well, the Lions had 3 quarters of slump and 1 quarter of scoring a touchdown. So yeah, not much to say about this game except Baltimore Ravens came to their hometown, showed up at their hometown, and just gave the Detroit Lions a good old butt whooping.
A big old piece of humble pie. They didn't give them just a piece. They gave them the whole stinking pie. Look, from the get-go, the Ravens took the coin toss. They took the kickoff, and it was just the first 4 drives they had, they scored touchdowns on. They couldn't be stopped. I think the problem for the Lions, it didn't help on offense. 3 and out, their first, 3-4 drives, they were 3 and out.
Yeah, not even a first down.
You just can't do that. You can't do that in this league. They didn't get a first down until the 3rd or 4th drive, right? So it was weird play calling to start the game off. It was like it was a boxing match, but they got punched in the mouth from the get-go and just couldn't recover. And that's not a good thing. We thought this Lions team would be a little more resilient. I don't know what the game plan was because clearly they couldn't stop Lamar Jackson to save their lives. While he wasn't running as much in previous games, I mean, that's always been the Lions' bugaboo, which is quarterbacks. Lamar made stuff happen. Receivers were getting open. Defenders were playing so soft, and you've criticized him for this before. He's playing really soft. Will Harris, notably at a couple points, just playing too soft on coverage when you've got safety help over the top. It's just you can't do that against a team as talented as the Ravens. And look, I figured this would be a hard-fought game. I didn't think the Ravens would come in here and just blow the doors off of them. And I thought after even a 14-point lead, I was like, okay, Detroit, all they got to do to get back in it is get a drive going. They just couldn't get it going. They're too slow of a starting team. I don't know what the real answer to solving this 1 week problem is, other than saying it was just one game. Let's just tap the brakes a little bit. But there is stuff to address.
They didn't tap the brakes; they slammed on the freaking brakes. But yeah, let's go over these stats real quick for the Lions and Ravens. Real quick, Jared Goff had 31 of 48 for 278 yards, 1 interception. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 11 receptions for 91 yards. Tight end U Day, Sam Laporta had 6 receptions for 52 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs, after coming off the injury, had a okay day. I wouldn't say a great day because some of those yards were for at the end. But I don't think Ravens had their first team out there. But he had 8 carries for 53 yards, 9 receptions for 58 yards, and 1 touchdown. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson had a all-pro day with 21 of 27 for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. Gus Edwards had 14 carries for 64 yards, 1 reception for 80 yards, and 1 touchdown. Zay Flowers had 4 receptions for 75 yards, and Mark Andrews had a day with 4 receptions, 63 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Total yards for the day, Lions had 337 yards, and Ravens had 503 yards. And time of possession, surprisingly, it was pretty equal here. 29 minutes and 38 seconds for the Lions. Ravens 30 minutes and 22 seconds. So yeah. The only thing I can add about this is they found that they can start using Jahmyr Gibbs finally, but a little too late in the fourth quarter there. I don't know why they don't use him at the beginning of the game. It's I love Ben Johnson.
It was very evident. I mean, real quick, to me, Gibbs is such a different runner than Montgomery. I know they want to do the run up the middle, get those hard fought yards, but why not? You have the whole point of having Gibbs would be to open up the offense. And what did you do once you started? Granted, you were down by 4 or 5 scores, but you use Gibbs as a wideout. You bring him in for screens. You kind of run him, and he's finding stuff on the outside. They didn't do any of that in the first half, let alone 3 quarters. It wasn't until the fourth quarter it seemed like they finally we can use Gibbs this way. This is great. Like they have this guy who's got a different skill set than Montgomery, and it's like they refuse to use that skill set to his advantage and theirs at the beginning of the game. Instead, they're like, well, we'll pretend like we still have Montgomery in there, so we'll run Craig Reynolds up the middle, we'll run Gibbs up the middle, and granted, the offensive line did not play as great as they normally do. A lot of pressure, they allowed 5 sacks during the game. And anytime Goff was trying to get like a screen pass off to either Gibbs or anybody, it didn't work until the fourth quarter when they could kind of play a laxer defense on them. But they got to clean that up. They got to figure out how to more properly use weapons like Gibbs and even Jameson Williams, who had a few drops, which he should have had there at the end of the game.
I think he had more than a few. I don't know if him and Jared Goff just need to spend a whole practice just throwing freaking deep balls. Have
it takes time.
Cameron Sutton helping out, covering Jameson Williams, but he needs help. He needs to do something because it's just watching those final plays when Jared Goff just chucking it downfield. One of them hit Jameson Williams in the face. And the other,
hold on, that should have been a pass interference. I don't want to complain about the refs because I think the Ravens outplayed Detroit, but there were several referee stuff during this game that really got to me. That was one of them because, it wouldn't have hit him in the face mask if he didn't have his arm barred. He could have reached up and at least tried to grab the ball. That should have been a pass interference call. I'm sorry. I know they're down, and it wouldn't have made much of a difference, but you got to call that. Odell Beckham Jr. taking his helmet off on the field should have been a flag. Odell Beckham Jr. launching his helmet up at the defender should have been a penalty. There was so much of this game. I don't want to blame officiating because the Lions just play bad football overall. So I'm not going to blame the officials that much, but I just want to see some officiating consistency here. It feels like anytime Detroit did something, they'd get called, but the Ravens would get away with a holding call on this great Lamar Jackson touchdown where he had 10 seconds to throw the ball, scrambling around. I'm like, I see a hold there. I see a hold there. Why aren't we talking about that? But instead, it's, oh, look at Lamar making this great sticking play. I'm sorry, but that's what got me so mad.
Yeah, well, even with them calling penalties, like the Lions still couldn't have won. Like it, they always
I get it.
say great teams always win, even though the officiating is against them. And I felt
It's
like
true. You got to overcome
Jared
that stuff, but
or
it just doesn't help. The optics, it does not help. It was like at certain points, it seemed like the refs were trying to find something wrong with the Lions. And I
yeah,
know that's old Lions mentality. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to blame the refs for the loss. That is not the refs' fault that we lost. It's the Lions' fault that they lost, and the fact that they played a great Ravens team.
yeah, but yeah, I want to go back to offense here. Some
Okay.
of these plays at the beginning of the half, I feel like Ben Johnson's kind of started getting a little too cute with the play calling. Just the way I saw someone on X mentioning like, why is our offensive line like a left guard trying to block a right tackle or edge, and a right tackle is trying to guard a left edge? Like, why is Ben Johnson making these weird freaking plays? Like, let's just keep um don't overthink things and just march it down the field. Nothing to get cute about. We're here to score touchdowns and win games. Like,
I don't. I mean, he does a lot of that guard pulling. He's usually on some of the run plays, but like pass protection, there shouldn't be any of that funny business. I just don't know if I agree with that. I can't cite exactly what you were saying. I didn't see a lot of that pulling other than on run plays. But as far as I felt like his play calling was bland and boring, and it was just like he knew from the beginning, like, oh, we're going to get outscored today, so let's just save our best plays for another game. Like that's what it felt like till they had the one of their best plays was that fake double reverse thing where essentially it turned into like a screen pass that got some good yardage out of it. But like I miss the creativity. I miss like doing it sooner. Kind of keep the Ravens on their. They're a great defense. You got to keep them on their toes. And one thing that the Ravens did to the Lions defense was keep them on their toes, and essentially that's how the Lions defense played all game long, was on their toes, backing up the whole time. Like nothing they could do stopped them. Any sort of pressure Detroit got, Lamar got it out. I don't know what this defense was missing today, what they needed to do differently to have solve that. But I mean, Lamar, give him so much credit. He is a talent. He finds a way to get the ball out and get it to an open man who is catching the ball. Maybe that's the difference, is these dudes catching the ball. Unlike Baker's receivers last week and the Lions receivers this week. It just seemed like we had so many drop passes and we just couldn't stop the Ravens at all from like making catches. They weren't contested catches. Maybe you have to take a
they
pass
were not.
interference call here and there to kind of set a tone, but they were just giving it to the Ravens, and you're giving these speedy wide receivers. This was my problem with the Seattle game when we lost that one. You are giving speedy receivers who are known for being speedy receivers the space to make plays, and that is a big problem I have with Aaron Glenn's defense. And we've been praising him the last few weeks for some great hard nosed defense. And this is a game here where it shows a lot of his flaws, which is one, not taking speedy receivers into account, and two, not being able to handle a quarterback who's got such a great ability for getting out of the pocket and still making plays.
Yeah. Speaking of the defense, I just don't understand why we need to play soft coverage so much. Like, Ravens have speedy receivers, but you look at some of these plays and the guys are like 6, 7 yards away from them when they're catching the ball. I know we had Jerry Jacobs was didn't play today.
Inactive.
He was a
Yeah.
game time decision ultimately. So we had Will Harris in there, and some of those plays that the Ravens receivers had, you could see Will Harris was covering him, and he was 5 or 6 yards away from him, and they just. I don't know if Lamar Jackson was just targeting him a lot or what, but um, I think Brad Holmes needs to do some trading. All right. Well, anyways, like I was saying, Brad Holmes, I think he needs to do some trading. He needs to get another defensive back, maybe another running back, because if they want to push into the playoffs, or if that's their goal, which I hope it is, to get deep into the playoffs, you can't have someone like Jerry Jacobs or Cameron Sutton go down and then have to rely on someone like Will Harris to come in and play a whole game, because he's a good, serviceable cornerback for a couple plays here and there, but for a whole game, I just feel like quarterbacks are just going to target him for the whole game. Um, and I hope,
I don't know.
hopefully, go ahead.
Look, you finish your thought. My bad.
But yeah, like I was saying, hopefully Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and Aaron Glenn kind of see that and kind of make some moves, because they're a couple players away. Like Aiden Hudson on that line, he can't be the only one trying to rush the quarterback. Like you got to have someone else in there trying to make big plays too.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
saw your cat down there bugging you.
yeah,
Look, if they make a trade, like I said, it would say a lot about what they think about this team if they actually execute a trade. I was hoping for I think they need the pressure. They need maybe another defensive end to go along with Hutchinson to get some pressure. Max Crosby would be amazing. Don't think it'll happen. Getting a serviceable cornerback, I think, is more likely. Like you said on your end, that's kind of where they need some help. I also think on the offensive side, maybe a running back, but I don't know if you do that with as much money as you put towards that running back position. And I think Reynolds is serviceable. Gibbs, if he's healthy, you can use him different ways, so he hopefully doesn't get banged up. But Montgomery is your bell cow. You might need somebody who's like Montgomery like to kind of, take that kind of brunt running. I don't know. I trust Brad Holmes. Like I said, it's one game. Guys, it is one game. We're not hitting the panic button just yet. But it's a humble game. It's a game where I think the Lions have to look themselves in the mirror, address this crap show, and just move forward. It's one of those games we'll look back on the year like, wow, how did that happen? Like, was this the anomaly game? That you point to and go, how did they get blown out like that? Like, that's not that team. I don't know if they came in with a big ego because everybody's hyping them up. I don't know if they just, were ill prepared, or is it what it looked like, which was the Ravens just wanted it more. The Ravens at home in front of that crowd, just you're going to lose games. It's their second loss of the season. You're going to lose games in this league. It doesn't matter how good you are. At some point, you're going to lose. We were hoping not that bad, but I mean, it's a wake up call for sure.
yeah. Did Ravens win last week or did they lose?
They did. They had a strong first half and a weak second half. They kind of let the Titans back into it. That's why I was almost thinking like down 28. Maybe Detroit can kind of make a run. Maybe the Ravens aren't a second half team, but the Ravens, they played a full, complete 4 quarters of
Yeah.
strong,
So I
good
wonder if they
football.
had a little chip on their shoulder too, and saying, "Hey, that's not how we play. This
Very
is how
well.
we
And I
really play,
mean,
and we're gonna
yeah,
jam it down
and
your
at this,
throats."
yeah, and at this point, you got to kind of put them up there as a top 5, easily top 10 team in the league, maybe top 5 after this win against Detroit, and it probably knocks Detroit down a notch, but not completely out of like consideration for like a team that could still compete for a championship. It's one bad game. If it were multiple games, we got a problem, but it's one game. A lot of teams lay a stinker every now and then, but the good teams got to bounce back, and it's now a matter of how do the Lions bounce back. And I
Yeah.
just handed you a perfect segue.
Speaking of bounce back, let's look ahead to next week's game, Week 8 against the Raiders. It's going to be on Monday night, October 30th at 8:15 on ABC and ESPN. Looking at this week, the Raiders are 3-4 now. They lost to the Bears, who might get a little worried about them here. They're 2-6, but the Bears 30 over the Raiders 12. So yeah, I don't know if their offense is finally clicking for the Bears, but that might be something to worry about in the future here. But
We'll see.
for this upcoming game, it sounds like Jimmy G is coming back. The only thing I got to say is hopefully Jerry Jacobs can come back, and please don't play soft coverage versus their two receivers they have.
Myers
I
and
got
Adams.
yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's not play 10 yards away from them, and let's like make them uncomfortable because Jimmy G is not really a running quarterback. He's not a Lamar Jackson. So if you can pressure him, throw him off a little bit, he's just going to look uncomfortable for the rest of the game. So
Yeah, this is a game I anticipate. Look, the Lions should win. We're going to be there on Monday night, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, also that they get the win for that reason. But that defensive line all season long has been so good at getting pressure, but a lot of times it hasn't been translating into like sacks or turning into turnovers. Here with Jimmy G, I think he's going to feel the pressure early, and I think the Lions are going to get to him quite often. So hopefully that takes like the Devontae Adams and them out of the game. So I'm wondering if they'll scheme a way to get quick passes out. It'll probably be with Jacobs, their great running back. I like Jacobs. It'll probably be a lot of screen stuff going on. So hopefully Detroit, Anzalone, watching out for that all game long. I think that's my big concern with them. Their defense, I'm not super concerned about. I say that now, but nothing against the Raiders. This should be a game Detroit wins almost as easily as the Bears did today.
yeah, yeah. For the defensive side, the only person I'm really worried about is Max Crosby. But
Yep.
they do make a trade, they might just tell Max Crosby, "Don't get on the plane. We got your jersey ready for you." And welcome to the Detroit Lions pride.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, especially now this week. But
you never know. Like, I
you never
think
know.
I think if Holmes is there at this game versus the Raiders, he might be going, "Oh my God, we might need some help." But
Well, we'll see.
one can hope.
One can hope. Like I said, I think it should be a big bounce back game. A team gets embarrassed like that the next week. You'd hope they come out fighting, and it's a week before their bye, so they got to shell out. Probably make some sort of statement game. Like, look, we're still that Lions team. Yes, it's not a great Raiders team. Make a statement game on national television. Have your bye week, kind of get stuff sorted out, and then you're flying out to the West Coast, and we got to talk about the Chargers.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully they start using Gibbs a little more early. We still got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. Like if I'd throw it deep a couple times to Williams, but if the connection isn't there, we just need to stop trying. Maybe try something else with him. But it was a sad day today to be watching him. Hopefully you can
But
turn it around.
regardless, I'm proud of you for at least hopping on here after a tough loss and recording, because I was half expecting you to go. I need a day, but you got on here and we're getting it out now. This is our therapy session. Let's get it all out
Hopefully
there.
this is the only one.
Oof. I mean,
But yeah, I
yeah,
think that's
hopefully.
gonna be it for this week. Again, hopefully going into the Raiders game, Lions just blow them out, and
We'll
all will be
see.
good. So yeah,
Yeah, we'll
let's
have to figure out what
close
we're
it
gonna
out.
do next week. So we're not going to be able to record till Tuesday, which is normally our flagship show recording day. But you and I, we can knock something out. We'll probably even film some stuff while we're at the game and post that also. So we'll
You got
see.
Tuesday off?
I got
You have
Tuesday off.
Tuesday
Do you
off?
have Tuesday off?
I
I got
do.
Tuesday off.
We can do an
Oh,
early
cool.
show.
Well, we'll figure it out. Okay, we'll do the show in the morning, and then I got to talk to you about some other stuff about leaving for the game, but we'll talk about that off air. Anyway, guys, I assume we're wrapping up the show.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's show, despite the Lions getting blown out. Be sure to visit theworldoffootball.com for upcoming events, links, original articles, videos, and more. If you could also please hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, all that stuff. Like us on Facebook, find us on X, follow us there. You can email us at info@theworldoffootball.com if you want to reach out to us, that way. Trying to see. Be sure to check out our flagship show, which Randy and I do every Tuesday, called This Week in the World of Football. Find that on all major podcasting platforms and on this YouTube channel. Again, drops every Tuesday. Again, more links down in the description. So that's the end of the show.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Hopefully the Lions come out a big win over the Raiders, and I don't want to have to get this out again because if I do,
Man, you got so much stuff building up behind you. Good lord.
yeah, I'm gonna have to get the other room ready. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening, watching, all that good stuff. Make sure you comment, like, and all that. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Go Lions, baby.